Good morning and welcome to JM Talks About Fountain Pens, a show where we sit around and we talk about JM's favorite fountain pens. Now, I got three of my favorites right now. I have a Lamy Safari. I have a. Wait a second. No, that's not what we're talking about. Welcome to Behind the Screen. This is a show where we talk about beautiful things. We talk about things that inspire us, things that make us interested in storytelling and gaming and beauty. And typically that falls along the lines of board games, role playing games, card games, and miniature games. But today I have something special to show you guys. There is a press company called Symbolic World Press, and they have been doing some very beautiful graphic novels and stories that I think are, again, beautiful and inspirational. In fact, the first one we're going to talk about here, GodsDog, the second trade is coming out here eminently. It would be a wonderful setting for like a Clash game or a Jackals game, or even an alternate Dungeons and Dragons game. So Symbolic World Press was founded by Jonathan Peugeot. You may know him. He is a orthodox internet commentator on symbolism and beauty, inspired a lot of the things that we talk about on this show. And I happen to know their chief guy in charge, Richard, who did Amboria with Strange Owl Games, which got big update. I think we should have the non-art layout files for the first book back this week, which we'll be sharing with backers. But they've got a two main lines that they're doing right now. They're doing the GodsDog graphic novels, which cover Saint Christopher, the dog-headed saint. If you are unfamiliar with that story, check it out. As he and Saint George protect the garment of skin as they are moving through the world and encountering Nephilim and doing battle against them. Their other line is Tales. What do they say? Tales for Once and Ever. These are fairy tales books, beautifully put together, lavishly illustrated, and they've got two of them out now with a third one coming out. But I figured, you know what? We talk so much about beautiful things and why they are important. I wanted to show these off and say, hey, if you are interested in beauty, if you have a love of beauty, if you have children that you would like to get into fairy tales and mythic symbolism, this is a great place to start. So, ta-da, got the hand cam back up and working. And so this is GodsDog Monster. The first book is Monster, and the second book, Warrior, is coming out soon. There are going to be links in the chat for YouTube. Mine came with a little GodsDog poster and sketch. But this is the story of Saint Christopher, the garments of skin, and that garments of skin is a reference to in Genesis when God kills animals and clothes Adam and Eve in garments of skin, and that actually has some mystical and connection and a supernatural power that resides over it. So you can see it is very much set in kind of a Roman-esque setting, and the art is beautiful. The art in the later versions are even more gorgeous. Let me see here. Do they have? I'll show the Nephilim off here. Here we go. Here's some images of the Nephilim in Babylon. So this book's available, and again, first book is Monster, second book is Warrior. It's got a unique blend of the Saints hagiography as well as some gorgeous art, and again, the art is just getting better with each volume going forward. If you want to delve even deeper into the symbolism and the mysteries, this is The Secrets of GodsDog. It is just, I mean, there are sketches in here. It's a little bit of an art book, as well as kind of assembling all of the symbolism and the characters and where they came from. So we have, oh, here's some ones of St. Christopher. So there's a little supplementary book that goes with GodsDog. And when Warrior comes out, there's going to be a single issue comic called The Garments of Skin, which will kind of uh, delve even deeper with that. Hold on, let me see here. Settings. I feel like there is a green screen filter on there. Yeah, there we go. I was wondering why we're getting a little, yeah, there was a chroma filter on there. Go figure. All right, so this is the first of their fairy tale books. This is the tale of Snow White and the Widow Queen, written by Jonathan Peugeot, illustrated by Heather Pollington, who, if you know Heather Pollington, if you like the Harry Potter movies, she did a bunch of art direction for the Harry Potter movies. This book was done by Jonathan Peugeot, his brother Mathieu Peugeot, and the artist was Cord Nelson. So this is a very traditional telling of Snow White and the Widowed Queen. And it delves into the symbolism of the different gifts. This is far more along the lines of the Grimm's fairy tale, but with a deeply symbolic and beautiful take on it. The book is gorgeous. They did they did a great job with the gold foiling and all of the different colors and the vines on the front. This is the symbolism of Snow White, which is a lot like the Secrets of GodsDog book, where this kind of goes into the ideas behind them. If you want to dig into more of the symbolism behind Snow White and why that story remains so powerful even today, this is a great book to look at. Now, this one's probably my favorite out of the three. It's the latest one that they did. This is the Tale of Jack and the Fallen Giants, written by Jonathan Peugeot, illustrated by Eloise Schur. I hope I pronounced that right. And again, just another beautiful, beautiful fairy tale story. This one again of Jack and the Fallen Giants. And again, this is far more along the lines. We know the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, and Jack the Giant Killer. This is kind of going back to the roots where these two things sort of like intertwine. And again, the art is just beautiful. The symbolism is rich and deep. And again, why are these stories so important to us? Why do they stick around after centuries? This is a great way to present and show these off in a new way and in a beautiful format. And so yeah, these are the Tales for Once and Ever is what they are called. I believe there's going to be a symbolism of Jack coming out as well. So, or you could watch the critically talked about new film. John Doom, that is what was the commentator that I said? It's like parking a Ford next to a Ferrari and going, look at how beautiful this Ford is. We could talk about Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and the new movie, but I always want to focus on positive things. So why even bring these up, JM? It's a good question, JM. Glad you asked it. So first of all, the reason I paired this up with the review of The Hermit is there is so much joy and richness and beauty that we can have for our games by going back to the more original sources. A lot of the fairy tale magic that exists in the early versions of Dungeons & Dragons kind of has fallen by the wayside as D&D has become a self-referential Ouroboros kind of eating its own tail, and we as game masters are pushing this Sisyphusian rock up, trying to take the same material and retread it and present it in a new way. Look at that, like everything tied together today. Symbolism happens. And by going back to the original stories that were inspiring Gary and Greg and Dave and the original authors, we can approach our gaming with fresh eyes, with new eyes, bringing the magic, the enchantment, the secondary world back to our games. So that's one reason. I mean, GodsDog would make a great Weird War Rome setting, or a spin-off of the Jackals kind of Clash game. Putting the actual fairy tales of Snow White or Jack and the Fallen Giants into your games are going to reference touchstones that have fallen out of the main touchstones that we now have for our game. If you have enjoyed the series on beauty, these symbolism and secrets books are amazing for kind of understanding, like, here's a book that someone put together. Now, what's all of the depth that is behind this? And Jonathan Peugeot does a great job of kind of walking you through, here's why we did what we did, and here's the traditions that we're pulling out of and kind of recapitulating and putting in the books. I know they've got 2 new books coming out. GodsDog Warrior, as I said, should be releasing in the next month or so. And Rapunzel is coming out this summer. So there's going to be a 3rd and possibly more, I think I can say with some confidence, more of these Tales for Once and Ever books that are coming out. But the other thing is, I think books like this are very important these days, because especially it's hard to turn on the news and find something beautiful or inspiring. We need to take a step back and, in a lot of ways, go back and read the older stories. I think this is why for the last several years there's been this revival of, hey, let's go read the Appendix N material for understanding Dungeons and Dragons. Right? As soon as you start reading the Appendix N material, you understand where Vancian magic comes from. You understand why trolls regenerate. What's the importance of law, order, and chaos on the alignment system. These things, which were considered required reading in first edition Dungeons and Dragons, really fell by the wayside by 3rd edition, again, where D&D became self-referential. C.S. Lewis says that there's value to be had in reading old books, because if you only read books from your time period, you're never going to see the flaws in your worldview. It's only by reading books from other time periods that we can see the blind spots in our own worldview. Can't get any more timeless than Snow White, Jack the Giant Killer, or a wonderful magical story about dog-headed saints and dragon-killing saints wandering around the Roman Empire fighting Nephilim. It sounds like a pretty badass campaign hook. So I've got links in the show notes on YouTube. You can find them down. They're all in tiny URLs. I'm trying that to see if it's a little bit easier and cleaner on my feed. Or you can just Google Symbolic World Press and it should come up right away. If you like what they're doing and you end up supporting, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think of Symbolic World Press, Snow White, Jack, and GodsDog. If you like what they do, please go support them. Go follow Jonathan Peugeot. He's got lots of great videos on symbolism and movies and culture. It does come from an orthodox point of view, so just keep that in mind if you go there. Now let's see. Hello to I guess a good point. Hello to everyone in chat. So that's John Doom and Grom and Padre and Knights of the Smith Dinner Table and Tink. Thank you all for jumping in on this discussion. Yes, Tink. Charlize Theron versus Kristen Stewart. Ooh. Yes, the Snow White book is gorgeous. They do have prints, Molly, that you can order on their website. Thanks, John. I think they are great finds. I love... first of all, they're gorgeous looking books. But the stories are great, and they're wonderful, and they definitely bring value and joy and beauty they enrich my life. And I'm hopefully glad to share all of that. Padre, I had an idea for a game where players build a kingdom, running off the idea that the world being God's work to create order out of chaos. Right, and that's there's a really interesting intersection there. We got time. A little bit of a nerd out here at the end. If you look at sort of Western Semitic, including Greek myths, the duty of the kings was to finish the work of the gods in driving out chaos from the world. So you get the demigods who are founding city states, and they're usually founding city states by killing some sort of chthonic monster that exists left over from the remnants of creation. So the goal is, hey, and once that is done, Zeus starts up the Trojan War and kills off all the demigods, according to Hesiod. If you look at Eastern Semitic myths, the goal of the demigod king is to mediate between heaven and earth so that everything is in its place. It's an ordering, but it's not a pushing back of chaos. It's a understanding your place in sort of the divine hierarchy and finding peace with where the gods have put you, kind of relying and trusting on them. That's one of the main themes of Gilgamesh. And then what's interesting is when we get to like the books of Samuel with David, we see these two Semitic traditions sort of merged, right? David and his mighty men are the ones who kill the last of the giants, the Anakim, the Rephaim, these Nephilim from before the flood. And yet they don't do it under their own power or because of some divine essence to their blood. They do so sort of by submitting to their place in the order as Yahweh has kind of set it up. So it's this interesting intersectionality between Western Semitic myths and Eastern Semitic myths. So, yeah. Oh man, Padre, shoot me an email. We could set up a meeting and just hang out and talk a lot about this. Yes, David's mighty men included Greeks. In fact, there is a strong belief that the tribe that becomes Dan is actually Greek, as opposed, as remnants of the sea peoples that get absorbed into Israel under the tribe of Dan. Also, the Philistines have a lot in common with the Greeks as well. Also, there are theories that the Philistines are not a Semitic tribe, but they are actually displaced Greeks who come in out of the Bronze Age collapse and set up in the Levant. So lots of... It's the Dan Band, of course. Come on, John. I got you, man. So, that's it for today. We have a great week planned at Iconic Production. We're going to be doing an interview with Tracy Sizemore about the Han Cluster backer kit that is going on right now on Thursday for Behind the Screen. So tune in then. I'll have Tracy on the show. And then Friday, Savage Universe is getting pushed off till Friday because I'm interviewing Brandon. Brandon always needs to start a little bit later, but Star Animal Studios has a brand new Kickstarter that's launching, I believe, today. Not an April Fool's joke, but Starbreaker Star Marines is coming out. So would you like to know more? Little Starship Trooper reference. All right, that's it for me today. Thank you all for joining the show. This has been Behind the Screen. I'm JM, and until next time, I hope you remain safe, healthy, and gaming. Until then, till Thursday, I'll see you all later. Have a good one, everybody.